Hi, very, very warm welcome to a new series of Monday night meditations here at Brixton Buddhist community, and particularly warm welcome if you just come off the retreat. We just run a online retreat. It's supposed to be an in-person retreat, but like so many things, it got shuffled online. But I've just been told it was really, really good. So really warm welcome if you've just come off of that. Great that you've kind of followed your inspiration and carried on now on the Monday. Also, very warm welcome if you're new. If you're not new to the community, really warm welcome. This is a chance for people who've been part of this community for a long time, people that are just starting to find out about it. This is a chance for everybody to just do some communal meditation, meditate together. So I'm here with Emma. Emma's just come off retreat. She's been telling me that it was really good. So Emma's doing the tech. So it's just me and Emma here. I wish I could I probably should pan around for people that haven't been down here before, because there's loads and loads of space. So one day we'll actually invite you, you'll be here meditating with us. So but for now it's just me and Emma here. So it'd be great for us to know who's out there. So if you want to just tap your name into the chat, I can say hello to you. That'd be good. If you don't know me, my name's Mike Trinara. I'm an order member with Triratna, and I teach here at Brixton Community. And what we've got tonight is we've got a two-part evening. So we've got this YouTube section which will run up to 8:30ish, and then we've got the follow-on second part will be on Zoom. All the details of how to tune into that will be put into the chat box. So I'm really excited. We've got this new theme. I always like it when we start a new theme. It really it's a way into meditation, creating a perspective on meditation. And this new theme is called What We Really Want and What's Getting in the Way. So what we really want and what's getting in the way. We'll have a chance to reflect on that a little bit today together, to this evening. I think it's true to say that we all have this deep yearning, don't we, for these kind of states of heart and mind that are peaceful, loving, connected, content. And there's when we're feeling energy, when we're feeling kind of energy in our lives, energy for our lives, and a kind of confidence that we kind of feel like we know what we do. We've got some meaning, we've got some kind of purpose in our life. So we all kind of want that. We all want that, don't we? Emma's nodding, I'm nodding, so I think you might be nodding at home. So we all want that, and maybe even during this lockdown, it's more apparent what kind of states we're getting in. We might, when we're up against it in this way, we might be noticing both when we're in good states and also, of course, when we're not in such good states. So the question then is, what is the commonality of all those kind of qualities that I've just evoked there? Peacefulness, love, contentment, energy, confidence. Well, they're all states of our heart and mind, aren't they? All states of heart and mind. They're not a material thing. They're states of our heart and mind. And in a way, meditation, it's very simple. We're just trying to uncover that. We're trying to uncover those states of mind and inhabit them so that they become more familiar, more inhabited by us. And of course, all the benefits that spills out into our lives. So what are we uncovering them from? Is a question, isn't it? What are we uncovering them from? And just simply put, we're just uncovering them from these habitual patterns of mental activity. Well, not say mental, a kind of emotional mental activity, that kind of get in the way. So we'll be exploring those states, and we'll be exploring what's also getting in the way of accessing them. So That's what this series is all about. So I really hope you can. They'll all stand alone each of the evenings for the next 6 weeks. But I really hope you can. Well, why don't you just make a pact with me now that you're just going to come along and we're going to go through and kind of build together through the 6 weeks. Okay, so before I kind of turn to who's here, let's just have a chance to settle into ourselves from whatever kind of day we've had. Let's just have a chance to settle into ourselves, and we'll do a breathing space, short breathing space meditation, and then I'll go on to say a little bit more before doing a longer meditation. So just settling yourselves in. I won't say too much about posture, there's stuff on the website about it, but just try to find a posture where you feel quite upright, whether you be on the chair and the sofa, sitting up under your own steam, so that's to say your back is upright and under your own steam, and a way that you can just relax your legs, either crossed like this or kneeling, or just sitting in the chair, as I say. So any of those positions is fine. You don't have to do anything particularly special. We're just going to close our eyes. And just with the eyes closed, we're going to notice the world is slightly different already. So we might become more aware of sound, the ambient sound, and these other emergent and submerging sounds. Just start to feel, okay, here's our body. We can feel our body. Return our attention to the sensations of the body. Maybe the first time in the day that we've done that. Return our attention to the sensations of the body and just notice how the body feels at the moment. Pleasant or unpleasant, or a bit nondescript. And then we feel the weight of the body. We can feel the weight of the body dropping into the ground. And there's that contact. So we can feel that. And then just start to let the lower part of the body relax down into that contact. Just grounding ourselves. Start to let the tummy go. Let the tummy relax. And let the shoulders relax. And then around the eyes, around your face, just letting the eyes and the face, the forehead soften. Just calming down. And then without doing anything special, we can just feel how the breath, how we're breathing, how the body's moving as we breathe. How the sensations change as we breathe. Noticing the rise and the fall of the chest, of the rib cage, as it expands out to the sides, to the back, to the front, with the in-breath. Just calming down. And then just allowing that feeling of being with the breath to kind of spread into all parts of the body. And staying with the body, even just staying with the sensations of the body, still broadening out even further. So we take back in the sound and the space all around us. So in your own time, just coming out of the meditation, need to rush yourself. Okay, so while you're just gathering yourselves together after that, let's have a look and see who's here. Great, God, that's a real crowd tonight. It's fantastic. Good. So it's Tom H, Nick. Hi, Nick. Henry. Hiya. Ian's here. Ben. Oh, hi, Ben. Henry. Linda. Nick. Tom H. Says Tom H just says I've got sound but no visuals. Anyone else? Do we need to know that? Yeah. Oh, it's refresh. Okay, we're all good. Joe's here. Hi, Adam. Have I said? Oh yeah, Linda. Yeah, Henry. Okay, we're doubling up now. Pam, Anna, Caroline, Sarah, Daisy May. And Alison, Jill, Cheryl, Toby, I think I've got everybody, hope I've got everybody, and Freddie. Freddie just got in there like Indiana Jones, just underneath the door as it was sliding shut. So very warm welcome to everybody. Great to kick off the series with you all. So, let's just pop that to the side for the moment. Okay, so there is a very evocative phrase in the Buddhist scriptures, which is that it says our minds are luminous, but they are covered over by adventitious defilements. Our minds are luminous, but they're covered over by adventitious defilements. Adventitious meaning added on. So I'm going to kind of unpack that a little bit. It's got the right sense of mystery about it, because meditating and exploring consciousness has that sense of mystery, has that sense of exploration into the beyond. The mind is luminous. What Buddhism is saying is that your mind in its natural state has all those qualities that we yearn for, that I was talking about earlier. But they're covered over by adventitious defilements. So it's very interesting. There's no idea of original sin. They're just these kind of habits that have just kind of asserted themselves over the top of that. So it's kind of this lovely idea of just kind of covered over or by these defilements. Defilements, quite an old-fashioned word, isn't it? But kind of impurities or well, there's quite a few different words for defilement: hindrance, covering, and so on. But I'll go into that a little bit more. Don't let that word kind of put you off. It's not a problem. So I'll just come back off a solitude retreat. I come off a time where I've just been 3 weeks on my own and in a little hut. It was really, really good. It froze while I was there, and there's just outside water, so I had to crack fill the outside bath up with water and crack that sometimes to get in my walls. But it was very kind of very, very special kind of time. And in that time, I practiced meditation of various sorts. And I noticed my mind become more luminous. I may not have framed it in that way, luminous, but I certainly felt it brightening. I felt it at ease, settling into my experience, not all the time, but for a lot of the time. And a contentment. I could just sit there with tea without looking at my phone or anything else. So just being alive was kind of all right. So I noticed in a way the luminosity that's been got out there in that phrase. But interestingly, in kind of contrast, I noticed the disturbance. In a way, they were kind of highlighted, they were kind of backlit in a way by this luminosity, so they were a bit more apparent. Just whatever would take me away, from being in those more positive states. So what's really good about Buddhism is it's really clear about what those defilements, what those coverings are. And what it says is that the main thing we need to do is just notice them. Bring mindfulness to them, and something about that quality of awareness will help, certainly help disperse them. There's other methods that one can employ, but that will certainly start to, they kind of lose their hold. They lose their grip if the light is kind of shone upon them. So in this way, we take a major step to kind of resolving. We start to resolve. And why do we do it? It's not because we want to be endlessly kind of fascinated. Of course, we are endlessly fascinated to ourselves, aren't we? But and there's nothing actually wrong with that. That's kind of how our kind of physical, emotional setup is. But we can use that interest to shine a light on these things that are getting in the way. And the reason to do that is just really to expose, to inhabit more this luminosity. Yeah, not to create a kind of hackneyed picture of ourselves being weighed down by all these various hindrances. The reason that we're going to look into them is that we can let them go. Yeah. So these other qualities can start to shine through. So mindfulness is the starting point. It's the starting point because the hindrances, which I'll talk more about them I'll talk more generally tonight, but we'll go through each one over the course of the next 6 weeks. They're unconscious. They're basically unconscious, or they take hold of one through the mechanism of being unconscious. What I'm talking about here is this kind of emotional kind of complex. They kind of feed off. We'll see in the meditation later how they feed off thought and emotion, body, all kind of feeds off each other to perpetuate these kind of states. Yeah? And I'll give you an example. Resentment's a good example. You know, like resentment, you can't find any peace of mind when you're in a resentful state. I just had a team meeting earlier, and initially I didn't really want to be there. I wanted to be back in my solitary hut, and I felt people were checking a little bit too long. I couldn't find any peace in my experience until that was resolved. Yeah. So the first stage is to own up and say, oh, that's what's happening. I'm in resentment for that example. So something about recognising them starts to certainly help to loosen the grip. So yeah, so there's these 5 main working grounds. Yeah, often it's not completely easy to kind of work out which of these we are in the grip of, but certainly they're a good starting point. These 5, yeah, and most of these coverings kind of at least circle around these 5 main areas. So the 5 main areas are craving, so wanting what we don't kind of have in our experience right now. So kind of a hankering, a kind of a busy seeking after what we don't have in our experience. Normally of a sense-based quality, so kind of something which we're going to feel is going to really give us a kind of a gratification very quickly, yeah, through the senses. So craving, what it says traditionally is craving kind of covers over contentment. So you can't feel content and kind of I've got enough, whatever, time, money. Well, not to say that it's not all right to worry about financial concerns, but it's when it kind of takes hold, if you see what I mean. When you get basically into this Buddhist word of papancha, this kind of proliferative kind of thinking about it, which isn't really taking you anywhere. It's kind of stirring up the emotion, and you're just kind of hankering, and that's stirring up tension in the body, and that's kind of feeding the hankering. So you can't reach a contented state when you're in that kind of craving kind of grip. The next one is hatred. Hatred is an interesting one because we might be saying to ourselves, well, look, I've even said this, I don't hate anybody. But I think that's just a lack of imagination. I think what we're looking at is a real spectrum here with kind of resentment, which I pointed to there earlier at kind of one end, at the thin end, right through to real aversion, stroke hatred, really just thinking, I don't want this person, idea, whatever. I want that to be eradicated out of my experience. Yeah? So that covers over love. That covers over connection, that covers over fellow human feeling. In that meeting, I couldn't feel fellow human feeling for my co-workers because I was in the grip of a resentment, a species of hatred. Yeah. So hatred, covering over love, covering over connection, fellow feeling. The third one is a kind of restless speediness, a kind of, it's sometimes called worry and flurry. It's just that kind of, you just go from one thing to the next, pick up the phone, put on the telly, flick around on the telly a bit, go make a cup of tea, forget that you've put the kettle on because you're rummaging around in the fridge, put the kettle back on. We've all been there, we're kind of caught in the grip, and that's can be quite prevalent, especially at work, where the values of getting stuff done can really kind of press to the fore, can't they? So restlessness covers over peace. It covers over a peaceful, at peace and ease. It covers over an ease in our experience. Then there's sloth and torpor, kind of old-fashioned words, but they basically mean kind of just a real unwillingness to engage. Just like, I don't want to bother, I don't want to do it. It's a kind of a resistance And that covers over energy, movement, feeling that our body is energized, equipped to the situation. Yeah, sloth is that kind of, it's a state of both body and mind of kind of torpor and that kind of thing. And finally, the fifth and last one is almost the most insidious, which is a doubting decision, not making your mind up, wavering. I'm not talking about the very kind of fine quality of critical discernment, but it's that kind of like, is this the right thing? Is this, kind of, that kind of thing that kind of constantly pulling the rug from underneath you. You may sit down to meditation, or am I doing the right meditation? Or I can't really meditate today, or it's too noisy. You can't kind of settle and create purpose. And from purpose comes confidence. So that's the fifth one. So we'll be looking at, as I said, all of those 5 in detail over the next little while, over the next 5 weeks, coming weeks. But for today, I just want to kind of pose the question: how do we know? How do we know if a hindrance is present? How do we know if a hindrance is present? And what I want to look at today in the meditation is a way of discerning if hindrances are present. If they're not present, that's fine. You just meditate, you just stay in pleasure, and whatever of those qualities that are emerging, you just can inhabit those within the structure of the meditation. It's fine. Don't need to go looking for hindrances, right? They come and find you. That's how it works. So we can find them present through our physical experience, tension and discomfort in the body. There's a whole spectrum of that, from just a mild uneasiness to full-blown, like almost inability to sit. You want to kind of spring off the cushion. So there's tension that we can notice in our bodies. Yeah? And then there's a mental activity. Put simply, our mind just will not settle. It won't settle because it's caught up in proliferating about in one of these areas. So our mind just won't settle. And as I was saying, they're related, aren't they? Really interestingly related. The way our mind won't settle perpetuates tension in the body, and tension in the body perpetuates a mental activity, heightened mental activity, proliferation of thought. So what we'll do is we'll basically do a meditation based on the mindfulness of breathing, which is in the 4 stages. If you don't know, that's fine. You can check on the website for a how-to guide. But for now, I'll guide us through each stage, and I'll ring a bell to mark the stages off. And the first 2 stages are going to be really about inhabiting our physical experience, kind of calming our nervous system down. Our nervous system is what gets so on point. This fight or flight mechanism. It's just our nervous system really ramped up. So we're just going to calm down, and engagement with the breath will help us to settle. Will help us to calm down. There's something about engagement with something like the breath, which helps the mind to settle. And then I'll bring in something about our mental activity as well. And I'll pose the question at some point: what do we really want? And then we'll just see what comes up. Just whatever comes up. I'd be interested to see. So, the final thing I'll say about mental activities is we're just trying to let go. We're just trying to let go of the proliferation, not give ourselves a hard time about it, because the mind does get want to describe what's happening, want to relate it to other things. That's just what happens. So there's no point getting irritable about that. But we can start to notice the kind of spaces in between the thoughts. We don't disappear. In fact, we're more present. Yeah. So we can start to give way to some of the space rather than the content of the thoughts. Yeah. So should we do that? Yeah. All right, let's do that. So let's set ourselves up for meditation. It'll be about 20 minutes. So with our eyes closed again, we're just inhabiting this more in a way attuned experience. We can notice the state of our heart and mind better, the state of our physical body. So just tuning in as best you can to the body, just however it feels just now. If it feels lethargic or relaxed or restless. And then feeling the weight of our body, kind of trusting that contact with the ground, just letting go the lower part of the body into that contact. So letting go any holding in the legs, any holding in the tummy. Just keep coming back to that. Just letting the legs go heavy and start to soften in the tummy. Feeling our upper body now rising up out of that base. We can feel the shoulder blades, we can feel the area of the shoulders. We'll start to see if we can soften any holding, any tension that we're holding. Start to soften. Noticing the face around the eyes and the forehead. Just allowing the gaze to become softer behind the eyelids, less strained. We can let go any tension around the mouth and the face to relax. Start to feel like we're really inhabiting our bodies, just however that is. And then noticing how the breath moving in the body, creating sensations. The rib cage is moving at the front and the sides and the back, the in-breath. With the out-breath, just start to just let go, just calm this system down. So staying with the texture of the breath as we move into the mindfulness of breathing. So to stay with the breath, you might want to count at the end of the out-breath 1, and after the next out-breath 2, and so on up to 10, just to keep you, start to get you engaged with this breathing process. But don't let the numbers distract you too much. They're just there to help and support, if that's useful. Main thing is feeling this texture of the breath. And let the breath help you calm your system down just by spreading into the body. Away, combing through the body, just letting the tension settle in the body. Calming the system down. This thinking there is fine, don't worry about that. Just start to keep bringing your attention to the breath. Where it moves in the body, texture. A sense of letting go. Staying engaged with the body as we move into the second stage, where we'll just mark the in-breath with a count. So just counting 1, then following that with the in-breath and the out-breath. And then just marking the next in-breath just before with another count. Just helping you stay engaged with the breath. Still feeling the weight of the body, the ground. Still feeling the sense of settling in the tummy. Just calming the system down. Now we can follow the whole cycle of the breath by counting just before the in-breath. Follow the whole cycle of the breath. Allowing your breath to comb through the body. Calming the body. And stay at ease, feeling the weight of the body, not forcing the mind. Moving to the third stage, which is just to drop the counting, which has just been there to help stabilise us to the breath. Just dropping the counting, staying with the movement of the breath in the body. And then just noticing also mental activity. By noticing, I just mean the kind of energy of the amount of thinking that's going on. You can just trust that you could start to just direct anything towards the breath. Be able to let go quite as much commentary on what's going on. So still with this texture of the breath. Still calming our system down. Settling down. We're noticing after any flurry of mental activity what happens in the body. Is there a connection? Any pleasant sensations are arising, just allowing that to be there. Dwelling in the pleasance, in the pleasure of just being a bit more aware. So we keep softening in the body. Seeing if we can allow thinking mind to settle around the breath. We just stay at ease, just allowing the body to relax. As we move into the fourth stage where we just keep this broad awareness of the body. Also just rest awareness where the breath enters and exits the body. These more subtle sensations. Body's at ease. And awareness just to resting where the air enters and exits the body. Not blocking anything out. Letting everything be there in our experience. Just resting the mind where the breath enters and exits the body. With the body at rest, at ease, inhabiting the heart center, noticing the breath in the heart center, the area around the center of the chest. And just dropping in the question, what is it that I really want? Don't worry if there's no answer come back. Whatever's happening is fine. But just dropping in that question, what is it I really want? Just seeing if anything resonates. For a period now, we're just going to sit with whatever's going on just now. It can be with the breath or not, however you feel. Just coming back into contact with the ground, feeling grounded, broadening out your awareness to recognise that we're meditating with other people, scattered through London, South London, beyond, parts of London and beyond. Okay, good. So, yes, we've got a bit of a time for questions. The questions I'm going to ask you guys to take into the Zoom call with you, just to maybe get things going there, or create a platform to get things going, would be, did you notice any connection between the mental activity and the physical sensations, the physical tension? So that might be an area that you might have got interested in. And what's the simply put, what is the effect of a mindfulness, just bringing our awareness to bear in the way that we did on our physical and mental state? Yeah, quite simple kind of questions. So I'm going to just check. Oh, my screensaver's come on.
There's nothing in there yet. I've got a question.
Go on, Emma. Well, I fiddle with my YouTuber's connection has gone. Yeah.
I often find that I have obviously sat down to meditate because I want to do some more practice, want to drop into depth, but sometimes with some hindrances, and I don't think it's like a specific type of hindrance, because I can think of examples for each of the ones that I come across commonly. Sometimes I do want to let it go, and when I bring some awareness to it, it does dissipate. But other times I sometimes find that when I bring my awareness to it, it feels much more sticky, and there's a bit of internal conflict about being no, you're here to meditate, but then also being oh, but this is a really enjoyable daydream, or oh, but this is justifiable planning for X reasons. And I just wondered, I imagine that I just need to give myself a bit of a bit more you sat down to meditate kind of talking to you, but I just wondered if you had any.
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah. So, as I understand it, the question is sometimes in the meditation you feel like your mental activity is kind of it's got a good purpose to it. So why should I, or even enjoyable? So why should I kind of ease off of that?
There's a bit more conflicted. There's an element of that, but then also I do want to meditate.
Right. Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah. God, there's a lot could be said about that. Actually, it's a good question. The purpose of meditating, simply put, is to elevate your level of consciousness. Yeah, that sounds quite grand, but that is within our remit. We are self-reflective creatures. We have the ability to, through encouraging awareness and encouraging metta to raise the levels of awareness. That's to say, to inhabit this luminosity more, these more evolved kind of states, really, or qualities in ourselves. So in a way, that's kind of in a way symbolised by the Buddha. That's why we have a golden Buddha there. It's that's the potential of our kind of experience of our mind. So So in a way, that's the purpose, that's the goal and purpose of meditating. And we can be sure that by inhabiting those states through meditation, by becoming more familiar with those positive states, our lives will change. Our lives will change, and the people around us, we will affect them in more positive ways. So we can be sure of that, 100% sure of that. So in a way, reason, I guess, that we have a shrine and various devotional practices, a way of kind of reminding ourselves of the goal of meditating. So it's quite good to set your purpose when you sit down, quite early on in the meditation, not because once you've been drifting around for a bit, it kind of gathers its own momentum, and it's a bit hard to shift, isn't it? So quite early on, you kind of want to sit down straight away, be clear what it is am I trying to do here, because you could just as well close your eyes, or you could just well do anything else. So point is, no, I'm here to, this is the point and purpose of meditating, this is what I want to do. So in a way, kind of setting that intention is one way. And what that might do is it might just contextualise all the other various hindrances that we're going to get into, we're talking about over the next week, in relation to that. Yeah. So planning, typically, planning is really important. We have to plan, that's part of the human experience, but we don't have to do it in meditation. Or if we find ourselves planning, we can notice that and say, okay, that's something that's important to me, I'll make sure I pick that up later on. So it has that compelling neurotic quality, doesn't it? Planning, for example, and it will keep coming back at you. So if you set your intention, you'll know, oh, that's just my mental activity trying to kind of assert itself, but that is not what I'm trying to do just now. There's a time and a place for planning, but it's not now, if you see what I mean. So, but having said that, it's good not to give ourselves a hard time. It's really important, especially even as Buddhists, we can start to think, oh, I've been meditating now for a year, 2 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever it is. I shouldn't still be getting caught up in that way, and that's just not helpful. That's an idea. That's just not going to be helpful. So in a way, you have to that's the exploration of meditation. You just, whatever happens in that sit, you don't second guess it by thinking it should be like this or that. And sometimes it's just a bit more planning, and other times you manage to, in a way, move beyond that. But it's not wasted. You start to understand what that energy of planning does, taking that example, in the body, how that makes you feel in the body, how that then relates back to the agitation of getting that planning right and getting the sequence of it right and so on, and how then that feeds back into the body. You notice, you become familiar with that process, so that you can then, familiarity allows you then to be able to soften that and work with that, and make that more malleable, and yeah, like I say, maybe move beyond it. But it's a process. It's kind of a getting to know, but we're getting in the way, meditation, getting to know one's self. In both the highs and lows, you know what I mean? In both the luminosity and the coverings, if you see what I mean, both are important. Okay, so my iPad has definitely died. So is there anything coming in there? No, that's fine. Okay, so I'm going to just conclude. Thanks for the question. I hope I answered that. All right. So I'm just going to conclude with a Dana appeal. Dana means generosity. Basically, coming off this retreat that I've just been on, I noticed that the world is still a mess. So I noticed the world was still a mess. I was a bit disappointed that it hadn't been all sorted out while I was away, but there it was, it hadn't. The world is still complicated, and coronavirus or not, the world is a complex, difficult place, and it's up to us to find ways to make ourselves more emotionally robust and more aware, yeah, so that we can kind of live a fuller life within that complexity, yeah. And that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to encourage each other with the tools to be able to do that. We need time and energy from volunteers, not so much now, but usually when there's classes going and so we need people helping. That's really, really important. But we also need money. We need money to keep things going. In the old days, in the good old days, we had a wooden bowl and a card reader, and you could just pay for the class. It's not so much just exchange, monetary exchange. It's just like give to what you love. So if something kind of if you inhabited something while you involved in the class, well, just give to what you love. That you can be sure that money will be well spent and will help us reach more people and kind of in more kind of creative ways, like the courses and classes and retreats that we're putting on. Emma's put the link in the chat, so you can just, it's very simple, you can just think of that as a dialogue bar. In the old days we were thinking that you were £10 wage, £5 unwaged, just as a guide, but you could give more or less as you feel. Second thing I want to bring your attention to is a course that's starting tomorrow. Now, if you've done the retreat, if you've just been on the retreat, you just need to just just follow that momentum, follow that intuition, book on that course, Life with Full Attention. It does what it says on the tin. It's a life with full attention. It's a life fully inhabited. And over the 8 weeks, the practices and reflections and chances to break into little groups to talk about how it's going, the meditations, the talks will build a kind of awareness of heart and mind, which you can really feel for yourself. It's actually a life-changing course. You know, that's kind of bandied around a bit much, but that's certainly what people say. They say that really changes their experience. So you could just book on that. I don't know if it's gone on the chat. It has gone on the chat, got thumbs up. So you could just explore that link, see if that's something that appeals, and then just take the plunge. And kind of, in a way, just give in to this impulse to raise one's level of heart and mind, level of consciousness. Follow that. So that's all I'm going to say for tonight. I really encourage you now just to follow on from what we've just been doing together by logging onto the Zoom. It's not the same as a work meeting. Trust me, it's of a different quality. So I would just try, especially if you're new, you haven't done it before. It's very, very friendly. You just go in there, and Ina being there and helping to host an answer, and maybe start off with those questions that are generated there, and just seeing how you all found meditative experiences and what went on. So so that's it from the YouTube live stream part of the evening. So from me and him, you're still typing away, Emma. You've done that. All right. So anyway, from me and Emma, very, very good night, and take care.